pairs. Let's apply DAX table functions in a practical scenario by creating a sales plan for stores by month using at columns and Crossjoin. We will consider last year's sales and apply a 20% increase to estimate the sales budget for each store and month. So let's click on new table and say budget plus 20% equals cross join. For table number 1, I'm going to use values function, store name, closing parentheses, comma, and for table 2, I'm going to use my values function for months from calendar table. Enter. So this creates a table where each store is matched with every month, forming the foundation for our budget calculation. Now we use at columns to include a sales plan based on last year's sales, increasing it by 20%. So let's say at columns, shift enter. Here, comma, I'm adding comma, shift enter once again, and I'm saying between double quotes budget plus 20%. And I'm going to say that 2 point times by calculate. For expression, I'm going to use my total sales F function, measure actually. And for filter, I'm saying same period last year, and I'm going to say calendar date. Closing parenthesis, one more closing parenthesis, and one more closing parenthesis. Enter. Now let's use our calculate budget values in Power BI visuals. So let's go to Canvas and let's select this and let's add this budget plus 20% measure to this visual. However, since there is no relationship between the tables, the visual displays unexpected results. To resolve this issue, we need to connect the budget plus 20% table with the relevant tables, these stores and calendar. So let's go back to our model view and let's move this budget plus 20% table and let's make a relationship between the tables. So here I'm going to make a relationship between these tables and let's see whether it works or not. It works. Perfect. When we try to create a relationship between these stores, tables, sometimes when we try to create a relationship between stores, we fail to establish the connection. Why? Because of key difference between values and distinct. If you remember, I told you that I'm going to tell you the second difference between values and distinct functions later. Actually, we didn't face any challenge in making relationship between these stores tables. But if we would face this kind of challenge, it would be related to the difference between values and distinct functions. So for solution purpose, we had to change the values function. Here, if you pay attention, here we have values function. We had to change these values function into the distinct ones. So thus we could solve this relationship problem. Okay, actually we can change it, but I'm leaving right now like this. So let's make the second relationship. The second relationship must be related to date tables. So I can relate this month with this month. But unfortunately, I cannot do this. And the second issue arises. The problem is that months alone are not unique. So they cannot establish a proper relationship within the calendar table. Instead of using only months, we need to add a unique column that correctly links the budget table to the calendar table. So to do it, let's cancel it and let's go back to our budget plus 20% table. And here I'm going to add one more column like date for link, comma, and I say calculate. Here I'm going to use minimum function and say calendar. Let me delete this one. Calendar date, closing parenthesis, enter. Now let's try to make the relationship. And here I have my date for link. Let's make the necessary relationship. And okay, it doesn't work. Now it's time to demonstrate the second difference between these two functions, values and distinct. So I'm canceling here, go back to my budget plus 20% table, and here I'm changing these values with distinct. Let me change also here. And say, okay, I'm once again going back to my model view. And here I'm trying one more time to relate these two tables. I hope it should work now. Yes, it works now. And let me go back to my canvas. Yes, it also works here. So I have some takeaways. So we replace values with distinct when working with related tables to avoid extra or unreferenced values. And we use a unique date table instead of just months for correct time-based relationships. Once relationships are properly established, budget plus 20% table can be used effectively in Power BI visuals.